A lot of people might have not heard of my story, so I want to share it with you now. My name is Zach Divelbiss. I'm the owner of Future First Criminal Law. I created this law firm because of what happened to me in my past. In my past, I've been arrested a handful of times. I even got a DUI. I told myself I was going to turn my life around, and I did. But then the justice system tricked me into getting into more trouble. I ended up committing a new crime that I didn't even know was against the law. I was in the backseat of a car, I wasn't even driving. My friend gets pulled over and the officer says, "Sir, you have expired tags. I need to see everyone's IDs." We're doing nothing wrong, so we give him our IDs. The officer comes back and says, "Zach, please step out of the vehicle." And I said, "Oh my God, officer, what did I do wrong?" The officer says, "Zach, you've presented a police officer with false identification." I said, "False identification, officer? What are you talking about? I just got that ID from the MVD not 3 weeks ago. It's 100% real." And the officer said, "Zach, tell your story to the judge. I don't want to hear anymore." And he gave me a ticket for a criminal violation of providing false identification to a police officer. I was distraught. I thought there was no possible way this could happen. So then what did I do? I went to court. I said, okay, I'm going to explain this story to the prosecutor. And guess what? The prosecutor is going to understand that this whole thing was just a misunderstanding. They got the wrong thing. They got the wrong person. I don't even know what to tell you, prosecutor, but I definitely didn't have a fake ID. I go to the prosecutor and the prosecutor says, "What are you here for?" And I said, "I'm here because of this false identification charge, and the identification was definitely mine. It was nothing false about it." And the prosecutor said, Zach, I need you to stop right there. I'm the prosecutor. I work against you, and I can't hear your side of the story. If you want to tell your side of the story, you need to tell it to the judge. And so again, I just thought, okay, this is fine. I'll just tell it to the judge. Well, guess what? You can't just tell it to the judge, I later found out. So what happened was they tricked me into having a trial where I represented myself. And I said, this will be super simple. I'm going to go and explain to the judge that this was my ID. I just got it from the MVD not 3 weeks ago. And I handed it to this officer, and the officer just cited me for the wrong thing. And I'm not a criminal who did this. I get there, I represent myself, I get objected to over and over and over when I try and tell my side of the story. Ultimately, I do tell the judge everything that happened, and I believe that the judge is going to find me not guilty. I was wrong. The judge banged the gavel and found me guilty of providing false identification to a police officer. I've lost all my wits at this point. I beg and plead to the judge. I say, "Judge, please explain to me what I did wrong here." And the judge said, "Zach, Mr. Divelbiss, you handed the police officer a driver's license. Well, was your driver's license suspended?" I said, "Yes, it was. But I wasn't driving. I was in the back seat of a vehicle. The MVD agent just gave that to me 3 weeks ago." And he said, "Yeah, but Zach, once your license suspension starts, your driver's license that says driver's license on it is no longer valid, thus making that driver's license false." Blew my mind. I had no idea that I was committing a crime. No one had ever told me about it until finally I went through all the stages of the criminal justice process for a judge to find me guilty to explain this to me. I really thought the police officer could have been the bigger person. The police officer could have said, "Zach, I see you're not doing anything wrong. I see this is really your ID, but it's technically false. I'm going to take it and please go get a new identification card or a passport." They could have been the bigger man and done that, but they didn't. I believe that the prosecutor still could have heard my side of the story and actually understood that this was not a true criminal case that they more commonly see, such as underage people using false IDs. And again, I truly believe that the judge was going to be able to hear my side of the story. The prosecutor objected a ton. My story was very convoluted and cut up. And ultimately, the judge pretty much said their hands were tied. And I really believe that if I had had a lawyer present this to the judge, that the outcome would have been different. Again, this is why I started my law firm, so that way I could help more people just like you.